All right, how's it going, everybody? My name is Matt Bowles, a firefighter paramedic with Roanoke Fire Department in Roanoke, Texas. I'm here to talk about NFPA 1851, selection, care, and maintenance of bunker gear. Unfortunately, I have not been into work in the past week or so, and can't go back until next Friday because I've been diagnosed with COVID. I'm doing better, but I can't go to work. I can't teach a class, so I do apologize for that. I have gotten this okayed from an instructor at Texas Emergency Educators to do this from home, and so that's where I'm at. I'm at home. Unfortunately, I've got PowerPoint, but I don't have any other presentation tools, so this is kind of what I've got. I do have this PowerPoint, like I said, that I will put in with a skill 2-6 when I turn it in. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and move forward. A little bit of an instructor introduction. As I said earlier, my name is Matt Bowles. I've been a firefighter paramedic for almost 10 years. I'm a driver with Roanoke Fire Department in Texas. I serve as our department's quartermaster, so I'm in charge, or I assist with selecting the bunker gear that we buy, helping out with or doing the routine cleanings, the advanced cleanings, helping out with that, and then also doing the advanced inspections that we have to do every year. So a lot of this stuff is very important. It can be a little bit of a dry subject sometimes, but it absolutely has its purpose in the fire service, and it's something I'm pretty passionate about. Throughout this class, I encourage any and all discussion whatsoever. So please, if you have any questions, raise your hand. I would love to talk about it. Talk about anything. If I don't know the answer, I'll definitely find the answer for you. If you've got to go to the restrooms out to the hallway on the left. So, but by all means, if you have any questions, please ask. So some of the things that we are going to be discussing today. What is NFPA 1851 and why is it important? We're going to talk about some of the routes of exposure that firefighters can get from carcinogens and hazards that are associated with being in the fire service. What's some of the anatomy of our bunker gear? What is preliminary exposure reduction, and what are some of the proper techniques? Excuse me. How to properly disassemble and assemble your bunker gear for cleanings and inspections and things like that. What are some of the types of bunker gear cleaning? What are some of the types of bunker gear inspections? What is good practices for bunker gear documentation for your department, for our department, and effective donning for firefighting bunker gear when firefighters are to be placed into an IDLH environment. So, why NFPA 1851? So NFPA, National Fire Protection Agency, is the leading information and knowledge resource for fire departments to go gather and set guidelines for their department. NFPA creates minimum standards for fire departments across the nation, and its purpose is to help out departments setting SOPs and SOGs, creating a across-the-board standard that everyone has to abide by. The NFPA, as I said earlier, provides minimum standards for fire department and to create their guidelines, and also will help create a risk management program or to help make it better if you already have one. It helps ensure departments have and maintain PPE that is suitable and appropriate for its intended use. So that goes back to that standard guideline. It wants everyone to have a specific set of bunker gear for a specific set of reasons. A good example is our department, we have the multi-mission gear, which is only good for vehicle extrication and bloodborne pathogens. That type of gear, because it has no thermal liner and moisture barrier, does not does not abide by structural firefighting bunker gear rules. It helps create guidelines to maintain your PPE in a safe and usable condition. That's very important. So every year it's got to go through a certain amount of cleanings, advanced cleanings, routine cleanings, and obviously inspections as well. So ultimately, the most important part of all of this is to reduce exposure to firefighters on the line of duty. That's the main premise behind NFPA 1851. So NFPA 1851 has been adopted as state law in Texas, so it's very important here in Texas. Violations can be used as a basis for an OSHA citation in the United States. So they take this very seriously, obviously. NFPA 1851 department documentation will be used in litigations involving firefighter injuries and deaths. So if you have a firefighter go down, burned, injured, or dies, unfortunately, they're going to go look at records of that bunker gear, and they're going to see if it's been maintained, when's the last time it was washed, if it's clean prior to, documented that it's clean prior to the incident. They're going to want to essentially try and find a place to blame where they can, and if they can find it in documentation or lack thereof, then they will. Proper following NFPA 1851 can prevent firefighter cancer illnesses or can aid in pinpointing cancer exposure for workers' compensation claims. All right, so in the fire service, we are exposed to carcinogens in everything that we do. So cancer, by the numbers in the fire service, is pretty alarming when you look at it. Cancer accounts for 61% of the deaths in the fire service since 2002. So obviously we're talking about post 9/11, and I know 9/11 has probably quite a bit to do with that statistic, but it is a hazard that we are heavily involved in. Firefighters are 9% at higher risk for cancer than the general population. Firefighters are 14% more likely to die from cancer than any of the general population. 1 in 3 firefighters, so 33%, will experience cancer at some point in their career. That is an alarming number. Mesothelioma is two times the reported rate in the general population. The 3 most common types of cancer in the fire service are respiratory, digestive, and urinary tract. So the respiratory digestive, essentially it goes down to you inhale it or you swallow it, which tube it goes down. The urinary tract, that one is important when you're talking about donning your bunker gear properly. That area, your groin area, is kind of in an area where it's an interface area where your coat ends and your trousers start. And obviously on your trousers you have the clasp, the hardware, and the Velcro. If it's not properly placed right, you can get that soot that goes down in that area, and then that's where you can have cancer for males in that specific area. So, kind of on that specific topic, routes of exposure. So, there's 3 different routes of exposure that we need to be aware of: absorption, inhalation, and ingestion. So, absorption, you've done what you got to do in the structure fire. You get out, you're sitting in rehab, you look down your arms, it's all over your neck, your face, and you've got black soot everywhere. Basically what that is absorbing through your body because we're sweating. Our pores are wide open, and it's letting all of those carcinogens, the toxic twins, just bury down into our skin. It's most common in areas of transition. That's kind of our interface areas I was talking about. So mask to hood, hood to the collar of your bunker gear, and obviously here in your waistband, in your back, and down in your ankles as well. Inhalation, that's improperly using your SCBA or not using your SCBA at the right time. Most departments have a standard when you have to wear your SCBA, and that specifically really applies to during overhaul operations. Have a CO monitor in there that'll tell you, okay, yeah, we're at 40 parts per million. We have to have our SCBA on during overhaul until we can get some fans in and get some of that CO out. And help alleviate some of the carcinogens and the toxic twins that are in there that are hazards to us. Ingestion, that's sitting in rehab. You've got the soot all over you, or maybe you were cleaning up some of the hose, rolled up the hose with no gloves on. Go back to the station, grab you some beef jerky, kind of try to refuel. It's on the piece of meat, it's on the cracker that you eat, and you ingest it, and now it's in your digestive system. All right, so moving forward, now we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the bunker gear. Specifically, this portion of the class, we're going to talk more specifically about the coat and the pants, but we're going to talk a little bit about the hood, gloves, and boots. But as far as the coat and pant go, so this right here, here's our coat. The coats and pants both have 3 layers. It's a 3-layer assembly. The outside, also called the outer shell, that's to help stop from abrasions, some of the instant thermal protection that it offers us. And then we have a thermal liner and a moisture barrier, and it's actually not that order. As the way it sits now, it's outer shell, moisture barrier, thermal liner. So that goes specifically for the coat and pants. We have the reflective trim name plate. This is important because it helps block that transition area between your buttocks and the lower of your back. Our DRD, drag rescue device, that's designed specifically to pull this out. And if you got a firefighter's down, you just pull this tab, and then it automatically is sitting in there wrapped around his arms and his shoulders, and you can pull him out. Making your way to the wrist links or the cuff links. You're supposed to have your thumb through here, and then when you put your gloves on, it doesn't offer any skin exposure to the heat and carcinogens. Right here, and I'm going to take this apart here in a second, but right here is your thermal liner. This is obviously, it helps flash protection against high heat, helps get us an opportunity to get out, but it also helps or allows us to kind of wick off some of the heat that we have in our body. It kind of works like an Under Armour, and it kind of helps us breathe a little bit. And I'll show you the moisture barrier when we take it apart. All right, our gloves. I apologize. Our gloves are kind of a one-piece set. They have got an inner liner inside. Made of Kevlar, is on the outside. It's fire resistant and water repellent, and the inside's a Kevlar fleece. All right, our helmet, it's either leather or composite. Basically, much to remember, not a whole lot to need to know about this. Make sure your shroud's down. You've got your chin strap on. It's got the ratchet suspension on the inside. Our hood, we've got a couple of different hoods in our department. Here's one of them. We actually have another one that's a little bit thicker. It's not necessarily designed to help us stay in a hotter fire, as it is designed to stop smaller particulates getting to our ears, our neck, and things like that. Our boots, our specific boots are a cross-tech 4-layer assembly used to protect us from moisture, heat elements, and hazardous materials. They also come with a steel toe. Alrighty, so getting into the preliminary exposure reduction, so PER. This is also known as gross decon. There's a video here that's in the link. We're not going to watch it, but it is a fantastic video. Shows us good PER practices. Essentially what it means, crew comes out to go into rehab or to finish the fire. Engineer, they go stand by the pump panel. Engineer has a water hose, a garden hose, and starts getting off, or an air hose, starts getting off all the large particulates off of each individual member. It just helps aid in getting things brushed off, get it down, get it off of them. That's what we're looking for when it comes to this kind of stuff. So University of Miami did a fantastic video where they took the powder that comes from, like bank bags, when people steal money from bank bags. It's not visible unless you have a black light. So they did a simulation where a crew did a bunch of fireground activities, and they put the powder all over them. When they did that, they didn't do any PER, and they didn't clean up after the fire. They went home, they went to the station, they went in their personal vehicles, they went home, and they found that powder everywhere. Then they did the scenario again, but they did perform PER, and they went home, cleaned the truck, or went to the station, cleaned the trucks, took a shower, and they couldn't find hardly any of that powder. The University of Miami did a great job with that study, and it just goes to show it's something that you can't see all the time, but it is there, and it is a hazard if we don't take it seriously. Alrighty, so getting into disassembling bunker gear. So the reason this is important, every time that we wash our gear, every time that we have to inspect our gear, this is how we have to do it. So I'm just going to use the coat as an example. The pants are very similar, but all of these have buttons that come on the inside. And if you go ahead and notice, And here is our moisture barrier right here. So I'm not going to take this gear, I'm not going to take this gear completely apart, but all I did was take these buttons that were attached right here. So if I need to take this gear out of service to be washed, all I'll do is remove this completely from the shell, and then I will go ahead and turn it inside out. So where the thermal liner is on the inside out. Because this is where all our sweat is. I want this to get washed first. The moisture barrier doesn't necessarily need the chemical wash that this does. So that's how you take it apart. Like I said, I'm not going to spend the whole class taking it all apart. But that's important to know for when we do an advanced cleaning and an advanced inspection we'll get into here in a minute. Putting it back together is just doing it all in reverse. It's a little bit time consuming, but it's absolutely worth it. So now we're getting into cleaning of bunker gear. So there's 3 types of cleaning: routine cleaning, advanced cleaning, and specialized cleaning. The routine cleaning is very similar to gross decon or PER techniques. It's intended to be done after each use when it's soiled. Every firefighter's responsibility is to perform a routine cleaning on bunker gear ensembles. So it's that firefighter's responsibility to make sure their bunker gear is initially clean. It's typically performed with mild soap, if any, running water, and a soft bristle brush. Advanced cleaning is typically used when a routine cleaning doesn't doesn't clean your gear like it's supposed to. This cleaning is used 100% by a commercial washer or an extractor with the use of certain chemicals. Do not use a washer dedicated for station wear. Is very important. Don't want to cross-contaminate. It still can be done by the individual firefighter. You don't have to be certified to do an advanced cleaning. The extractor is successful because of the use of 3 elements: water, movement, and in other words, friction, and also a chemical action. The chemicals are injected in the machine during the cycle and must be approved by NFPA 1851. Advanced cleanings must be completed at least twice a year per NFPA 1851. Specialized cleaning. So this comes in any sort of contact with chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear agents. So PPE shall be cleaned if possible. As in, if it can't be cleaned, it's got to be cleaned by a third-party technician, a professional third party who is trained. If it can't be cleaned, it's removed out of service. Insurance will pay you back, and you move on. PPE should be carefully placed in a biohazard bag and labeled for specialized cleaning. All right, bunker gear inspection. So now we're getting into inspection. So we've taken the gear apart. It's got to be cleaned before you do an inspection. Routine and advanced inspections are the 2 types of bunker gear inspections. A routine inspection, that happens in the morning, every single shift, and immediately after each use. It's a visual examination of the gear. You're not taking anything apart. Can be conducted by any individual at the beginning of each shift and after each use. Inspection is conducted to find the following: soilings, rips, tears in the outer shell, damage or missing hardware, damage or missing reflective trim, loss of elasticity or flexibility. Just gonna check the time here. All right, advanced gear inspection. So this is very, very important. It happens once a year, but you have to take the gear completely apart. You have to do an actual class and be certified to do advanced inspections. But what happens is we use this. It's called a hydrostatic tester. That's what helps us test the moisture barrier. But you're also checking to see the interior liner. You still do the visual inspection, but it has to be documented and completed successful within 12 months of each year. Documentation. So all inspections shall be documented and recorded and kept for review. Records shall be kept for purchase. Records should be kept for purchases when it's issued, when it's used, cleaning, inspections, repairs, and retirement. Any records repairs shall be kept as well and list the cost of what specifically was repaired. And as we are getting into our 20-minute time limit, I do apologize, I'm going to go a little bit over. This video right here is how to effectively don your firefighting ensemble. That's important to know. We're not going to watch the video. It's about a 9-minute video. I was never intended to play it. But It's important because some of the things that you need to know, putting on your bunker gear, make sure all of your hardware is either zipped up, it's clasped, all your Velcro is in complete contact with each other. It's all there to help eliminate exposure of your skin to heated elements and carcinogens. So just keep that in mind. That's all I have for you today. Please, if you have any questions, please let me know. I love to have time for discussion. So please let's hear it. If not, then thank you very much, and thank you very much for your time.